Queridas, queridos, welcome back to the BEAM&Flow podcast. I'm your host, Chloé. I am a body-led transformation coach, and I help you heal yourself through detoxing your body, unwinding your nervous system, and creating a life that feels like summer camp. And the way that we do that is through your body, energy, awareness, movement, and flow. Your beam and flow, if you will. And I am so excited to welcome you back to season 10 of the podcast. I cannot even believe that it's season 10. So if you are brand new, this is not 10 years of the podcast. It's been about 2 years, 2.5 years, but this is season 10, and the way that the podcast works is that every season, so every solstice and equinox, we release 4 new episodes every season, and every once in a while there's a bonus. So this season, I am so excited to be back. We sort of skipped the spring season this year because I was deep in process work and allowing life to happen. And so I'm really grateful for the space to do that, and I am back and so excited to share all of the lessons that I have learned, and I get to share them with some friends this season. I'm really excited to introduce you to them. So this season is very special. Every episode I will be interviewing a different co-guide from the Rooted Summit, which is an online virtual healing summit that I am co-producing with 4 other amazing guides and practitioners, and our wonderful moderator, Brig. And so this Rooted online summit is being released on June 22nd. All of the workshops are pre-recorded, and you will have access to all of them once you register, and you will have access for life. And I'm going to leave it there because you're going to hear from these amazing guests, and I know you're going to want to sign up. And I'm so excited because you get to do it for free and then have it to work with whenever it works for your schedule. You don't have to show up for anything. It's not anything that you have to be present for at a specific time. It is completely customizable for you. And so without further ado, I would love to welcome this week's guest, Dorie Chauncy. I don't know if this is a good thing or not yet, but I joined Facebook dating. Not actually because I'm interested right now in going on dates with anyone per se, but more because I'm looking at it as practice in being really boundaried and being really clear in my communication and in the communication I'm willing to receive. So it's been interesting kind of playing with that, talking to one person who kind of hinted that we should meet in person, and I was like, I need us to talk more before that happens. And so that practice of being able to say like, no, just because you said like we should do this, I'm saying no, not yet. That's not what I need. I feel like approaching it with that mentality is going to yield different results. So we'll see.
Yeah, when I came into the group, you were like, oh, I'm, moving to be in this new relationship. And it was like, oh, all this great stuff. And then it was like, well, that's, everything's changed. And now I'm, moving somewhere else. So I was like, I didn't know you well enough to know any of the dynamics of like, that this was a new relationship or this was a long relationship or like what, or, any of that. So I was like, yeah.
It was definitely a new relationship. I had been celibate for 18 months, like nothing, no dating, nothing. And then intentionally. And then I went on a couple of, they're called Tantra speed dates, which were supposedly these group speed dating experiences that were more connected, and they were. I didn't meet anybody. And then Maria in the LUC told me about this dating app called Unjected, which is for unvaccinated people. And I was like, oh, well, I think at least we'll have that in common. Like, we'll have something to start from. And I met this man, and it seemed like we were aligned in all of the ways: sovereignty, investing, faith, all of the things, health. And in looking back now, so it was long distance because I was in New Jersey, he was in North Carolina. And the first time that we met, he paid for me to fly down. And I said, I want to stay in a hotel or an Airbnb. I don't want to stay with you the first weekend, which he was fine with, and he paid for all of it. And I really did not want to sleep with him the first weekend, even though we had been talking for 3 to 4 hours every night on the phone. My pattern had been that I jumped into sexual relationships really fast, and I wanted to do something different. And then the first night I was in a hotel, and he picked me up from the airport and he dropped me off, and he was like going back to his house to feed the dog. And then he said, I'll come back and we can talk more. And when he came back, he was like, can I stay? And then it was like, we were kind of making out, and he's like, I really want to have sex. And he called me his wife. He was like, you're going to be my wife. And I heard what I wanted to hear, and my boundaries went out the door, and we slept together. And then when a couple months later, I had to move out of my grandmother's house, and I was like, well, I might as well move down to be closer to him if I have to go somewhere. And within the first 24 hours of being there, it's a long story, but basically I got to my house that I was renting, and none of my stuff had even been unwrapped from the movers. Like, everything still had the things on the boxes. I couldn't even tell where my bed was. So I was there with a friend of mine unpacking, and every time he came over, he was trying to start something, like have me go down on him in the kitchen while my friend's in the next room, and I don't even have a bed set up yet. I was like, no, no. And every time he came over, he kept trying to start something. And I felt like I had to keep defending my no. And then every time I said no, he would get a little bit more passive aggressive in his responses to me, which I had not seen from him before. So by the end of the 24 hours, that second day, I had said no again. And as he's walking out, he's like, it's been 2 days and this cock hasn't been sucked. And I was like, well, it's not going to be tonight. So I don't know how many other ways to say it. I don't know what else to tell you, but like, it's not happening. He gets home, and it takes him 60 minutes to get to his house from where I was living, or 60 seconds. And he texts me, so should I expect you to come over tonight? And I was like, no, you should not expect to see me until tomorrow at the earliest. And he responded, don't even worry about it. And I was like, oh, well, if you're gonna toss around the idea of breaking up with me just as a power move, then I'll let you know it's done. Like, it's not happening. You win. Congratulations. We're not together anymore. And of course, by the next day, he was like, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Da 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 da. And I have been down roads like that too many times, and it never ends there. It always gets worse. And so I said no. And in reflecting back on that, what I realized happened is my wishy-washy boundaries in the beginning were reflected right back to me in what he did. And I'm not blaming myself for his actions. He chose to do what he did. And It's my ownership, right? Like nothing happens in a vacuum. I put myself in that situation, and I own that I put myself in that situation. So now,
what can I learn and do better next time?
exactly. So now with this whole like Facebook dating thing, I'm being very like, if I say no, I don't want to meet you until I have this many, then that's what I'm going to do. And if it's a problem, then I'm cutting it off like right away. So finding little ways of changing my behavior going into it. And I also think that my attitude and my where I am in my life has shifted so much. Like I am very rooted in my new home and in my life, and I love it, which was not the case before when I met this guy. So there's stakes now where I'm like, no, I will not be fucked with. My life is set, and I'm ready to expand with someone else, but I'm not willing to mess this up for the possibility of something with someone. So it's a very different place to start from in terms of interacting with someone.
Yeah. I mean, dating in relationships, I feel like there's communication that is just not being had in a lot of ways. And like, there's a lot of expectation, to just, like you said, like there's a lot of like expectation. From one side or the other. Sometimes it's the feminine side, sometimes it's the masculine side. But it's like, if you don't make yourself very clear, I have a friend that's like, she's so clear about stuff. And she dates and stuff that like the guys that she's dating, they're like, you feel like you're on an interview or something. Cause she's like, we're not having sex. What's your occupation? What's it? She's like, just like, da, 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 da. And I'm like, but take it or leave it. Like, this is who I am. And the people who love her, like, absolutely love her. And like, where you stand with certain people, but it's like when you're dating, I just can't imagine dating at this point in time, virtually, and then not being able to have like, I mean, we all talked on the phone. That's how we got to know each other when we were even growing up. So it's like, you do get to feel, and then the physical chemistry, of course, is going to be there. But at a certain age, it's like, that's not what it's all about. We need to know each other on a certain level. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good for you for standing up for yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a part of me that wishes I had been stronger in those boundaries from that day one. And I haven't shared too much about this on the podcast yet, so maybe this is a good place to share. But I had been working through a physical / neurological modality that's still not public, so I can't talk too much about it. But it had a profound impact on me and the way that I viewed very early childhood sexual trauma. And then that happened as I was like right when I made the decision to move to North Carolina. And so this like whole awakening happened that I talked through with my therapist, and really discovered that the therapeutic term for what was happening was called coherence. So as a young girl, I was put in a situation that should have been safe, and it was very much not safe. And as a 4-year-old, that doesn't make rational sense in your mind. So unconsciously, as an adult, I was trying to make it coherent, make it make sense. And to make it make sense, I would then put myself in situations that were objectively unsafe so that when I got hurt, it would make sense. Like, of course I got hurt. I put myself in a situation that makes sense. The making sense is what I didn't have as a child. And that's what I was looking for, was for A plus B to equal C. And once I realized that, and then saw that it happened in real time, like as I was coming into this awareness, I was able to see, okay, that's exactly what this was. And now I know that that's what the pattern was and why I was doing it. So I can choose to now show up and say, no, I'm not going to put myself in a situation that may be unsafe. If there's any hint that it's unsafe, I'm not going. I'm not doing it. I didn't have the awareness that that's what I was doing before.
Is this related to the pelvic floor thing?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's get into it. I love this. This is going to be a great interview. Okay, so yes, it does relate to the pelvic floor thing. So let me circle back to what that is. So here we go. In the middle of the podcast, let me introduce who we're actually talking to. This is my good friend, Dorie Chauncy. And Dorie is one of our wonderful Rooted guides for the Rooted Virtual Summit. And she is a health coach, and she really brought a very physical grounding to the offerings that we have in Rooted. So when Dorie was recording her workshop, which I was participating as a participant in her workshop, so you can see it when you sign up for Rooted, rootedsummit.love. You can access all of the workshops. And in her workshop, she was talking at one point about like the things with our health and our wellness that we know we need to be doing, but we just don't do them. And we were talking about like practical tips for getting you to do the thing. And I said that one of the things that I had been struggling with is, and listeners of the pod know, I work with crystal. They're called chakrams. They're crystal dilators, crystal wands that I use to release and relax my pelvic floor. And ideally, I should be doing it every day. But it had been months since I had done it. And a big part of it was because of this boundary violation that happened with this man in North Carolina. And since that point, I wanted nothing to do with the dilators, like nothing to do with them. But I knew I needed to, and I could feel my pelvic floor tightening. I could feel the symptoms of not working with my body in this way. And so I had said to Dorie during the Rooted workshop, I said, I have a little bag that has the dilators in them, and I've even put it like outside by my bed and did a whole washing them with oils and made a whole ritual out of it, and then put them right back in the bag. Didn't do anything with them. And I am supposed to be working with them for about half an hour every day. And your suggestion was like, what if you just do like 3 minutes? What if you just use it for like 3 minutes? And funny enough that you mentioned that, because yesterday was the first time that I've used them. Yes, and it was for the full half hour. It wasn't even for 3 minutes. It was for the full half hour. So that was really good. And I was thinking about you, not while I was doing it, but like while I was pulling them out. I was like, oh, I should tell Dorie I'm doing it.
When you're just like grabbing them and not while you were using it.
Yes, yeah. Not while I was using it. But it's funny because this all kind of ties. It may not seem yet to the audience how this is going to fit together, but I promise I'm gonna weave it back in. We'll get there. I was taking this class called The Holy Grail, and it's about divine union. And if anyone follows Eyes In or Sister Shanti on Instagram, they are a married couple. I followed them both before they got married. They're both amazing. Love them. Anyway, they were doing this 12-week course together. And in the women's group, the Discord group, during probably like 4 weeks in, this class also started as soon as the breakup happened. Like all of this happened at the same time. So I'm taking this class on divine union as I'm newly single again. And I posted in there that I, after the breakup, had no interest in self-pleasure at all. Like it was just like a shutdown zone. And my other cat had died. Like it was a whole grieving season. And then when I got here to South Carolina and I got in my space and I got cast in this play and life started opening up, I started feeling life in my body again. I was like, oh, I kind of feel like a little sexy, a little turned on. And then when I would go for self-pleasure, the only way that I could experience an orgasm is if I was thinking about a very specific ex that I was in a situationship with for like 3.5 years. And I did not want to be thinking about him. Like, he's an ex for a reason. Like, it was such an unhealthy dynamic for me. But the sex was incredible. And that was why I kept going back, even though I knew that I shouldn't. So I was frustrated. Like, I was feeling really good because I had orgasm, but I was really frustrated that that was the only way that I could figure out how to do it. And someone had mentioned in there as a feedback, like, well, when you're engaging in self-pleasure, is the energetic behind it, what were the words that they used? They said, is it extracting from you, or is it actually feeding and nourishing you? And I sat with that for weeks, and I was like, I don't really know how to answer that question. I mean, I feel like it's nourishing me, but I don't know. And then the last class that they did was this class on sex. And at one point they start talking about vibrators. And I have loved my vibrator for a long time, eons, right? And I've heard from different groups and people, like, you shouldn't use a vibrator because you won't be able to come with with a person or by yourself. I never had that experience. Like, I was always able to enjoy the vibrator and enjoy my time with my person and enjoy my time with myself. I never had that experience. So I just kind of always didn't listen to that. And then they started reframing it in this way that I was like, something needs to be looked at here. So for women who don't, I knew the history of the vibrator, but I didn't put it together completely. So for women who don't know, in the Industrial Revolution, all of these men were basically forced out of their homes into factories, and they stopped having sex with their women because they were exhausted and tired. And so their women started exhibiting signs of nervous system congestion, which they called hysteria. So, the hysterical woman hysteria, it's because they weren't getting off. So women would go to the doctor, and the doctor would manually stimulate them to orgasm to treat their hysteria. Well, the most well-known doctor basically wore out his hand from doing it so much, and so invented the vibrator to do the job for him. So the vibrator was literally invented to solve the problem of women's hysteria, really to solve the problem of women not being touched by their men.
Ooh.
And so that's really interesting, right? Like, okay, it's to solve this problem. And then she said, a medical condition, right? Not having orgasms. And yeah, exactly. And then Chauncy said, and there is, if you're requiring that level of friction, essentially, to stimulate your clitoris connection to the rest of your nervous system, there's something that's been numbed that's requiring that level of friction. And energetically, that hit me, and I was like, oh, numbness. Wow. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. And then I started thinking about all of the times that I did engage in self-pleasure with or without the vibrator. And especially in these last 2 years, a year and a half that I was celibate, and then since then, I masturbated so much in the beginning of that like 6 months in, I was kind of like, this again? Like, are we doing this again? And it became all right, well, I have to go to sleep, so I guess this will help me go to sleep. Or like, I'm so stressed out about whatever's going on, let me just like rub one out real quick to feel better. And I started realizing, like, oh, I've been using this to solve a problem, not to actually like romance myself or engage with myself. And how in the world can I expect someone to take their time and touch me the way I want to be touched if I'm not even doing that for myself? So all of that to answer your question. Yes, I have been using the wands, and because of what I know that it's going to bring my body and my nervous system and my health. And this is where, surprise, I told you, audience, I would bring it back. This is how I connect it to you, right? So in your offering in Rooted, you talk about how most people come to you at first because they are wanting to lose weight. Like that's almost always the first reason why they come to you. And most of the time, it's not actually physical weight that is holding them in that frame. It's emotional, spiritual weight. So I would love to talk to you about how you discovered that that's what's actually going on, how that's shown up in your life. Because I definitely feel like that reflection showed up in everything that I just talked about. Like it's not just the physical thing. There was so much emotional, spiritual stuff behind the numbness that has come through. So I'd love to open that up with you and see where we go.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I guess, as you're speaking, like, where does it come up in my life? Just the weight that you carry is like what really comes up immediately is just like any time, it's all in hindsight, right? We can always look back on something and say like that was that moment in time, but like when you're in it, it's like you're too close to it. You can't see the real problem. The real problem you're seeing is that like all of a sudden I'm having really bad anxiety attacks, or I'm having weight gain, or I feel like I can't get through my day without, caffeine or sugar. Like I wake up tired. I, slump through my day. So like there's all these symptoms. And so when people come to me, it's typically weight loss or some type of like medication that their doctor's threatening to put them on if they can't correct their blood pressure or their blood sugar or something like that. But for me personally, it would have been whenever I started having like severe anxiety attacks. And my aunt's a psychiatrist, but nobody listens to her, but because she's too close to us. So she's known us forever. But she was like, there's something going on in your life that's giving you these panic attacks. So, you relate it to, okay, well, I stopped eating meat. That was a terrible idea because then I just ate more sugar. And that was probably part of the issue. That was part of the issue. So like, that's what I knew to do. I knew I needed to like stop drinking as much alcohol, stop eating meat. I thought I needed to do, because you don't really want to see what the real problem is. You're avoiding the truth, which is right in front of you. But you don't know how to change the truth. You don't know how to approach it. It's either scary or you're just in denial that it exists at all, or you think you're doing everything right. You've convinced yourself that you are doing the right things, and it can't be that can't be the problem, because you're doing the right things. So, in my personal relationship, my husband and I have been together since we were like 13 and 14. And I started
way before Facebook dating.
dating. Like people will say, how did you and your husband meet? I'm like, I don't know if I have a memory of meeting my husband. Like it's like when you grow up with someone, like you don't I have no idea how I met him. I can tell you the first time I kissed him, but I can't tell you like in Tammy Black's kitchen when somebody dared him to kiss me. And I was like, oh my God, Mark Chauncey's going to kiss me. 3 years later, I'm knocked up. No. So, we were young when we had our daughter. I mean, we were both really wild, crazy. We had really supportive families, so we were able to like still kind of be wild and crazy. And in the years that I started getting really bad anxiety, we were really wild and crazy. And there was a little bit of like unfaithfulness going on. And intuitively, of course, I knew that. Like, we're having fun. We're doing a lot of things, hanging out with people in situations that we probably shouldn't have been putting ourselves in. But we were young. We were having fun. So, like, in hindsight now, it's like, okay, there was some unfaithfulness going on. And once I was able to see it, it's like all of a sudden, here I was trying to do all these other things to make myself healthy and like try to figure out why I was having these panic attacks. And you're always like going through the clinical diagnosis and like, boom, when you finally come to the realization that like, I was living in this lie. And I was lying to myself and I was being lied to. But, we're all playing our role in it. But like once it all kind of came to light, it's like, okay, now we can address it. Now we can work through it. Now I can make the decision of how I am going to move through this life, like with this partner or without this partner. Can we work through this? Can we not? Do we want to be together anymore? Do I want to move on? Does he want to move on? So, we luckily, I guess you could say luckily, we're really happy together now. So, and that was, we're in our 40s now. That was in our 20s. So that was like early 20s. That was before we were married. So, that was like 22. So, you get through it, but that's just an example of like when things get really rough in your life and it's never what you think it is. So when people come to me and they're like, I'm heavy, I'm gaining weight, I've got a thyroid issue, I've got these health concerns. I'm like, that's great. We can change your diet. We can, implement some new exercise routines because you probably need to mix up a little bit of strength training and you probably need to mix up a little bit more like yoga and breath work. And so I give them like kind of the generic blueprint of like what it externally looks like to be healthy. But what I try to weave in kind of like mysteriously is that there's more, right? So like, let's ask like deeper questions. Let's think about where is this really coming from? And then, like I said in the summit, when you start to become more healthy and strong, kind of like physically, when you're lifting heavier weights, when you're eating cleaner food, when you're sleeping better, when your mind is clearer, you can actually kind of see a bigger picture and you can go a little deeper into those corners that you didn't want to go in before. It's easier to avoid those dark corners when you're numbing yourself with alcohol or sugar or sex or whatever your vice is. So I love health coaching because everybody is so different. Like I learned so much about myself, I'm sure you do a lot of therapeutic stuff too. So it's like when we work with people, we're learning so much about ourselves. Like, how does that mirror everyone that finds us is a mirror, right? Like, there's no mistakes. When you found me or when I found you, it was always meant to be. We've always known each other. We were always meant to meet each other. So it's like, wow, what is this connection going to teach me? What can I learn from it? And then what am I here to provide? It's just really like being that empty vessel for them to just like for their energy to flow, to let the best part of themselves come through.
I love that. So I'm curious, you mentioned some of the physical ways that you might start working with someone, whether that's changing their diet or helping them like with strength training and figuring out what workouts to do. I'm curious where you would start with them on the emotional side, right? So let's say a woman comes to see you who is going through a divorce, was in maybe a very abusive or dismissive or in some way unhealthy marriage, and is feeling like she's overweight and she's got hormonal issues and maybe she's on a budget or feeling broke because she's going through the divorce and all of these things. Where would you tell that woman, or how would you encourage that woman to start looking at the emotional side? Are there practices that you would do with her? Is it more of a conversation? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture. I'll do like some why are you here? Like, why did you come to me? What is your like dream outcome as far as like working with a health coach? What are your expectations of getting out of having a health coach? And so it's like kind of meet them where they're at. So I need to know what your expectations are, what your ultimate goals are. But then to help them kind of bring awareness to that, it's not just you're eating too much and you're not exercising enough, to bring them into that awareness that that's not what the main issue is. We do the why journal, and then the why journal kind of goes a little bit deep. It's like we start on surface level and they answer the why, and then we usually have conversations. So it's a one-on-one coaching where we have a Zoom call every week, and every other week is either kind of like external work or internal work. So on the weeks that we do the internal work, we'll go a little deeper into why, and then people eventually over time are able to share more. We grow deeper in our relationship. I get to know them better. They get to know me better. But it's really amazing, just putting those seeds in someone's mind that there's something deeper here. And like, we're going to start doing some breath work. We're going to start doing little meditation. I mean, breath work is 5 minutes long. I literally send you a 5-minute video. You're not doing 45 minutes of breath work to start. And then like, a yoga nidra or some kind of meditation where it's like, literally we start with the tiniest step where it's like, maybe it's one day a week that you're doing it, not every single morning when you wake up. Even now that we've done the summit, Anna's little, just when you drink your tea, like that can, when you drink your coffee, like spend some time, if you drink whatever your ritual is on a daily basis, like don't turn on your media yet. Just like turn that into a meditation and a reflection time, and just take one of those why questions and just reflect on it, and then continue asking that question over and over, and where in the past you've seen it show up, and then like where it could be resurfacing in this time. So we kind of just weave it into, and then even whenever they're resistant with like certain types of exercise or certain types of nutrition, it's like, oh, I fell off, I had extra glass of wine and I knew I shouldn't have, and then I slept bad. It's like, I always kind of like try to weave that in with like, it's a subconscious thing that when you really do find that connection with yourself, and it's honoring yourself and your soul, and really truly loving yourself, you're not going to overdo it with the bag of cookies or the bottle of wine, because like, it's not that you're not going to want to punish yourself in that way anymore, because you have so much more of a connection to that inner purpose and that inner soul. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, it did. And so if someone, let's say the same woman is coming in and she eats pretty healthy, and maybe she doesn't move as much as she should, and so we'll work on that. How do I want to ask this? Is it first session where you might introduce that it might not be the food that's the trigger for holding on to the weight? Would that happen like right away? Is that something that happens in the second week? I'm curious, like how quickly we start diving deeper into this.
I like to let people know right off the bat, like in kind of the intakes portion, that's the type of coaching I do. That I will not only be coaching you, I will be doing lessons every week, and we will be doing education around like optimization. But I let people know right up front, every other week we will be doing like some type of like deep shadow work, where my focus will alternatingly be deeper work. And everyone says, well, I'm not that deep.
Really?
That's it. Everyone. Yeah.
That's wild to me. I feel like if I was in that situation, I would be like, I mean, good luck, because the depths don't end. Let's go. You want to get deep? Let's go real deep. I can do that. That's so funny.
Deep. And then everyone is like, the majority of the people that I've worked with are extremely high functioning, like high achievers. They're overachievers, right? Like they're responsible for everyone in the family. They're very successful, and they're just super driven, but like health has taken a back burner. It's just too complicated. It's, too nuanced. There's too much to do there. They can take care of everything else, but not their self and their health. So they're very motivated, which in their mind makes them not that deep.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Yes.
really interesting. So they're saying that they're not that deep because all they can see is the external achievement driven work that they're focused on. Okay. Okay. I think I can understand that a little bit better. Thank you for clarifying that for me, because I was like, I don't understand. How is everybody not like, I am an endless pit of depth? Come look at it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, you go to a dinner party and you're like, get me out of here because everybody's just talking about politics and weather,
Yeah,
and
no, I can't. I'm like,
I need to
let me
talk
see your
about the
soul.
depths of your soul.
Yes. Exactly.
But what
Exactly.
happened to you when you were 2 years old?
Right. Don't. What kind of birth did you have? Was it vaginal or C-section? We need to know these things. They matter. Oh, actually, okay. This is great because it's jokes but true. I I can imagine a scenario where maybe someone starts working with you and they know you already, right? And so they're like, you read every label, you know everything that you're eating, like you won't eat this, you work out, you have such, there's no way that I'm ever gonna get to where you're at. Like people say that with me all the time. I have special lights in my house and I have my red light glasses and I do all of the, and my phone switches to red at night, and they're like, that is way too much. There's no way. And I'm like, I wouldn't have been doing this 12 years ago. Like this all kind of built on itself.
You didn't do it yesterday.
No, this is like little pieces, but maybe I'm wondering if there's a way to explain this that you have found that's better, better than how I say it. For me, I kind of look at it like, well, each virtuous habit kind of builds on top of itself, and once I started feeling better doing a couple of things, and then something new came into my awareness, like someone told me or I heard it on a podcast, I couldn't unhear it because I had already seen how changing a few things made such a big difference that if somebody gave me something, I was like, well, I have to at least try it. It may not work for me, but this stuff did, so I've got to try this. And then it just kind of kept building on itself that way. How would you describe that?
Yeah, I remember I used to drive, my husband travels for work, and I would listen to Ben Greenfield podcast way back, like in the very beginning. And he does all kinds of crazy biohacking. I'm like, I will never be able to afford all this stuff. Like, it's so expensive to do, I'm like making notes on all these supplements and stuff, but like, you just kind of have to like grab the lowest hanging fruit, right? So to me, and what's important to me is not important to everyone. I mean, I have one section of clients that are like, yeah, I won't eat anything that's not from the farmer's market. And then I have other people that are like, I don't understand why you don't just go to the supermarket and get all your food. So it's like, what's important to you is important to you. But eventually, like you're saying, it's one thing at a time. It's like reading ingredients, and then you're at the grocery store and you're like, I'm so tired of reading every single label. Well, like, you don't have any labels at the farmer's market, so it's like, and then they try the farmer's market, and it's just small things like that. And then getting into like laundry detergent, and I mean, it's like the next level, and then the next level, and then your water filters, and then your air filters, and then your lights, and the paint on your walls, and so but you can't overwhelm people. Like, yeah, I really try not to talk to people about all the things because it will make them feel like that's an impossible place to be. And I hope that I come from a place of like, you do but like, I promise these things, like increasing protein, getting adequate protein is going to be a game changer if you've never gotten it. So like, that's like number one, the first thing we do. And I get pushback all the time that like, you want me to eat more food to lose weight? Yes, I need you to eat more food because you're not feeding yourself what your body needs in the current state. Once you start eating what your body needs, let's go from there. And then it's movement. Movement. Our bodies are made to move. We're not made to be sedentary. So like functional movement as opposed to like just going out for a run or a bike ride, or, like just kind of educating people very slowly. And then like you're saying, like I told you, with like just do it for 3 minutes. Like if you can just, I've even started with people like, just get enough protein in the morning. Just get 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. If you don't get enough protein for the rest of the day, it's fine. Like, let's just start it with the tiniest step. And that way, it's like all of a sudden that habit becomes completely mindless. It's just totally habitual. Next step is like, then we alternate, and then we build on that, and then we build on that, and then we build on that. And then the next thing you know, you're Ben Greenfield. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, this is great. I'm having a blast. So this has gone by so fast. This interview, I'm like, how has it already been 45 minutes? Okay, bringing it back together. So let's transition a little bit to the Rooted Summit. So this episode is going to be released next Friday, so people will still have a chance to sign up for the extended sign up that we've done for the Rooted Summit, because we are going to be doing a live Rooted Roundtable on Zoom for everyone who signs up on Wednesday, June 9th. So you will get to see Dorie's wonderful workshop and everybody else's if you sign up before then. And then we get to all come together and talk about it. So you can ask Dorie questions live, you can ask me questions live. It's going to be amazing. And I want to kind of start talking a little bit about what made you say yes to this idea of doing the summit?
I mean, everybody is so awesome in the group. And I think we're all kind of like healing junkies. Like we know that there's so much out there to learn. And the only way to learn is like in these groups, like having each other, having the support of friends and strangers and other people's perspectives and what's healed you and why you're so drawn to the thing you're offering. Like it's just meeting with you guys. I was so blessed to be able to be invited into your group, because you guys were already a group whenever I kind of just like bombarded in somehow. I don't even know how I got in there. Brig and Devore were like, we think you'd be good for this group. And then I get in there, I'm like, how am I fitting into this group?
Perfectly. You're fitting in perfectly.
But yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. What made me say yes? Like, I think I just want more and more and more. I just want to be part of more of this connection with human beings across the planet. And I live in a small town, and I don't have the opportunity to connect with people like you guys. And so that's probably what it was the most. Like, I just want to be able to connect with more people out there. Yeah. And you guys are also awesome.
Well, I'm so glad that you said yes. And I do believe that this collection of offerings that we've put together is going to reach so many people. For sure, so many more than any of us individually would have been able to do. And so I'm really glad that you said yes, and you fit in so perfectly. I love how every guide in Rooted is offering something very practical and tangible to work with, whether that's a creative process with art, if it's using your body to actually move through trauma, if it's using your mind to enter theta healing, if it's holding a cup of tea. And then you came in and it was like, and when you're done with the woo, this, like, you still have a body to be living. And like, once you're done with your tea and you've made your little drawing, how are you moving through your day? What is your body saying? Are you actually in right relationship with your body? And that is so critical because I love all of our offerings. I really do. I love all of our offerings. I utilize them all. And once you're done with the tea or the drawing, or again, you're still in this body and you still have a day to lead and a life to live. And if you aren't feeling well and whole and rooted in your body, there's no way you could drink all the tea in the world. You can make all the drawings in the world.
Right,
But
right.
it's
Yeah,
not
you can
gonna.
do all that healing, and if your body feels like you're not at home in it, you know, it's
Yeah.
not a good place to be. Yeah.
Which is why I think you fit in so perfectly, because you're showing us really tangible ways of supporting our bodies and checking in with our bodies. And those practices, when combined with all of the other offerings, I mean, talk about like the foundations for a life that is lit the fuck up. It's everything. And so I see you really as like the center spoke of this wheel of all of us, because it all comes back to, again, you are in this body all day, every day. How are you feeling in it?
Yeah, feels strong, feels proud, like, yeah, and capable and able to like share your light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for
Well,
sharing your light.
thank you for sharing your light. And I am going to have all of your connections, how to reach you, in the show notes. But if people are like not wanting to look at the show notes, can you just give a quick recap of where they can connect with you and how that works?
Oh gosh, I'm still working on all my filters, but I would say mostly Dorie.Chauncy at Gmail is a good way to contact me, or on any of my social media. There's Rebalance by Dorie on Facebook and on Instagram. And then I do have a Rebalance by Dorie website that you can visit.
Amazing. And I will link all of those in the show notes again if anybody wants to click on them. And you get to experience Dorie like in super on point form in the summit. So I highly encourage everyone to sign up for Rooted. And if you want even more of Dorie, I know that she's still taking on new clients and would love to work with you. So Dorie, thank you so much for being here. This flew by. Like, this just flew by. I'm so grateful for you. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe.
Queridas, we made it to one of my favorite parts of each episode, the moment of flow. I love poetry. I love words and rhythm, and how when you mix the two, you get into a beautiful state of flow. And so I want to leave you with that at the end of each episode. So here it is, your moment of flow. It could all be so simple. It could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard, as Ms. Hill sang. Real food, sunlight, deep breath, long hugs, building strength, movement that matters, laughter, sitting in the shadow. Try what's been freely provided before you're tempted to buy what they stole from the OG creator. And remember, this is your one body. How much do you want to feel at home in her?